this evening. Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Assad, and a very warm welcome from HMS Belfast, which for many of us is simply just another tourist attraction amongst many here in London, nestled behind the Tower of London and Tower Bridge here, where it's been moored on the Thames since 1971. But of course, prior to that, it had a very, very important naval pass, a colourful one as well, and in fact was really instrumental in playing its part in bringing World War II to an end 80 years ago. And in fact, 80 years ago today, the ship itself was on the other side of the world in Australia, preparing to kick in to help finish the war. And to find out exactly what it was doing, we're joined by Magill from the Imperial War Museum, who now manage this as a tourist attraction. Thanks for inviting us on board, Nigel. There's certainly worse places to be on a glorious Friday evening, isn't there? So just tell us exactly what role did the ship play then in bringing the war to an end of VJ Day?
Well, it was all geared up and ready to play a very important part in taking the war to Japan. Everybody was expecting the war to be difficult and to go on for quite some time. So for many of the ship's company, HMS Belfast, it was quite a surprise when the war suddenly ended. But certainly the captain was very keen to get out there and get stuck into the war, and he got all his men up and ready and expected. And I think as the naval forces in particular, Japan being an island like the United Kingdom, as the naval forces closed in on Japan, it was going to be particularly important, and they were going to be very vulnerable, both to air attack in particular, but the new kind of kamikaze suicide attacks. So people within the Royal Navy were very apprehensive, probably frightened about what the war was going to be like. And all of a sudden, VJ Day came, the war was over, everybody could relax. And I think it's important to remember for this ship and for all the ships in the Royal Navy that were building up and gathering, that was tremendous release from the pressure and the stress and the possibilities. And all the men on board could suddenly change their outlook and relax and begin to embrace the fact that they were probably going to survive.
Absolutely. So the lads left here preparing to die for their country, and by the time they got to Australia then it was over and it was time for a party. But the ship itself then took a very different role, didn't it, in terms of bringing people back home?
Well, that's right. Once the ship was all geared up, ready to take part in a war, and suddenly the war was over. So they had to look and find out what were they going to do next. And the obvious thing was to use ships like this across the Royal Navy to start liberating and rescuing all of those people who'd been imprisoned or interned by the Japanese in their various possessions. And so Belfast first of all goes to Formosa and modern Taiwan. It collects prisoners there, and then it spends most of its time in the next couple of months in Shanghai, helping with internees and prisoners of war, making sure that they were well and free and ready to return home.
Well, what a wonderful story. Who knew that the ship had such a checkered past as well? So thank you for inviting us on board. And if you happen to be strolling along the Thames tonight when this sun finally goes down, the ship will be lit in white as a mark of respect to all those who were involved in World War II 80 years ago. Assad.
Yeah, and that'll be a very moving tribute. Thomas Magill on the HMS Belfast, thank you very much.